Every night, silent and invisible power shift. The daytime you, part of you, plans, fights, wills, promises, and tries with all your might to control the course of your. Finally tired, exhausted, it hands over the helm, and another you, much older, much more powerful and mysterious, takes over. The nighttime you. And the question this video sets out to answer is, what kind of relationship do you have with this other half of you? Are you allies or enemies? For most of us, the relationship is a losing battle. The daytime you spends the day in an exhausting struggle against itself. It claims to be more confident, more disciplined, more patient. It uses all its willpower to resist old habits. But willpower is a muscle that tires. And at the end of the day, or in a moment of weakness, the invisible force of the night you, with its old programs and unhealed wounds, always seems to win. And the day you wakes up the next day feeling like a failure, not understanding that he is trying to overcome with a small rowboat the current of an entire ocean. And Carl Jung's philosophy offers us a new strategy, one that is not based on war, but on diplomacy. The central thesis is this: the most powerful moment for change is not during the day, when your ego, your day-you, is at its peak of power and resistance. It is during the night. Night is not a switching off of your mind. It is the opening of the portal to your central operating. It is the moment when the deepest part of you, your unconscious, is most receptive and most open to dialogue. That is why we need to redefine the word reprogramming. For Jung, it is not a mechanical brainwashing. This is a sacred dial. It is the day you learning to speak the language, the night you. And this language is not one of logic, orders, or empty statement. It is the language of symbols, deep feelings, and archetypal images. Reprogramming your mind at night is the act of planting a seed of intention in the fertile soil of your unconscious, rather than trying to force a cog in the noisy machine of your day. Think of your day, you as the skeptical and loyal guard who stands at the gate of the vast castle of your psyche. During the day he is alert, questioning, and blocking any new ideas that threaten the established order. But at night, the guard falls asleep. And this is your moment. This is your opportunity to quietly pass through the gate and deliver a message, a letter of intent, directly into the hands of the wise king who inhabits the castle, your own. The promise of our meeting today is not a magical audio track that will do the work for you. The promise is to teach you the communication protocol, the 5-stage nighttime ritual that will allow you to use your sleep no longer as an escape from life, but as your most powerful laboratory for personal transformation. To understand why the night is our greatest laboratory, we must first diagnose why the day is our greatest battle. And the pain we feel here is that of frustration. It is the torturous cycle of waking up motivated, knowing exactly what you should do or think to change your life. But then, as the day progresses, being unable to sustain that change. It is the feeling that your willpower, no matter how powerful, is simply useless against the invisible force of your habits and deepest beliefs. What is happening here is the manifestation of the primary function of our ego. The ego, the center of our daytime consciousness, operates on a fundamental principle, self-preservation. And for the ego, self-preservation often means keeping things exactly as they are, maintaining the status quo, even if the current situation is uncomfortable or painful. Why? Because it is familiar. The ego operates on the evidence of the past and sees any real, profound change not as an opportunity, but as an existential threat to the identity it has so painstakingly constructed. And to protect itself, it activates its powerful defense mechanism. And this is the revelation that can dissolve your self-condemnation. You are not fighting your laziness or your negativity. You are, in fact, fighting the security system of your own psyche. Your ego is not your enemy. It is a loyal guard, but a limited and very fearful one. It has been trained to keep you safe. And to it, safe means known. Trying to overcome it by brute force, trying to install a new belief through forced repetition throughout the day, is like trying to fight your own immune system. It is an exhausting battle, and one that you are destined to lose. In order to see the strength of your own ego in action, I invite you a resistance. Choose one significant change that you want to make. It could be changing careers, adopting a healthy habit, or thinking more positively about yourself. Now take a notebook and with complete honesty, write down all the reasons, all the fears, all the excuses, and all the proofs that your mind gives you for not changing. Recognize this list not as the absolute truth, but as your ego's security report. These are its fears and limitations written down. Think of trying to install a new belief or a new habit during the day as if it were a delicate seed in a block of reinforced concrete. Your conscious mind, with all its logic, all its defenses, and all its evidence from the past, is the concrete. You can scratch the surface, but the seed cannot take root. Nighttime, and especially the drowsy state that precedes it, is the moment when, almost miraculously, the concrete becomes fertile soil. It is the moment when the ego's defenses are lowered and the soil of your psyche becomes soft, moist, and perfectly receptive to a new seed. Once we understand why our daytime ego is so resistant to change, a new anxiety can arise. It is the feeling that our subconscious, the place where our deepest beliefs are stored, is a mysterious black box, inaccessible and completely beyond our control. It is the feeling that we are separated from the most powerful part of ourselves by an insurmountable wall. But what modern neuroscience tells us is that there is a bridge, and this bridge opens for us every night through the change in our brainwave. Simply put, during the day, when we are alert and focused on the outside world, our brain operates primarily in beta wave, the state of analytical mind. As we wind down at night, it enters alpha waves, the state of relaxation, the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. And crucially, in those precious moments before we fall asleep, we enter theta wave. This is the hypnagogic state, the waking dream state, the twilight portal, where the veil between the conscious mind and the vast power of the unconscious becomes thinner than at any other. And the breaking of expectation here is one of the most beautiful and empowering. You don't have to be a Zen monk or meditate for decades to access the state of expanded awareness. Nature, in its infinite generosity, gives you free access to it every night of your life. And this theta state, a state of immensely heightened suggestibility and neuroplasticity. It's the time when your brain is most open to new ideas, new associations, and new programming. Wasting these precious minutes scrolling through your phone feed, worrying about the next day is, quite literally, a monumental opportunity for transformation that is being missed. To begin honoring and preparing the ground for a sacred moment, the most fundamental practice you can adopt is that of the digital sunset. Make a non-negotiable commitment to yourself to turn off all screens, your television, your cell phone, your computer, at least 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to. This simple act prevents your mind from being constantly bombarded with the beta wave stimuli that come from screens and allows it to begin its natural and graceful descent into the deeper, calmer, more receptive states of alpha and theta. Think of your mind as a large medieval castle surrounded by a moat. During the day, in the alert state of beta waves, the castle's drawbridge is fully raised, protecting you from any new or invading ideas. In the drowsy and relaxed state of alpha and theta wave, the drawbridge slowly lowers over the moat. And this is the very moment, the window of opportunity, when the messenger that is your conscious intention can finally cross the moat and enter without being stopped, the skeptical guard that is your ego. Once we understand that the night opens a portal for deep mind, we need to learn how to communicate through it. And the pain that arises here is that of ineffectiveness. It is the frustration of spending weeks, months, perhaps years, repeating positive affirmations like, I am rich, I am loved, or I am confident, and not feeling any real change in your life. Worse still, it is the feeling that, repeat these phrases, an inner voice ridicules them, creating even more resistance and making you feel like for trying. What Jung's psychology teaches us categorically is that this approach fails because we are trying to speak to a deep part of ourselves using the wrong language. Our unconscious, our central operating, does not operate with the verbal, linear, and abstract logic of our ego. Its language is much older, more powerful. The unconscious speaks the language of symbols, images, raw emotions, and it is the language of myths and dreams. And the game-changing revelation is this: saying, I am confident to your unconscious is like trying to give a command in Portuguese to a computer that has been programmed in binary code. The command simply won't be executed, not because the computer is stubborn, but because it doesn't understand your language. In order for your message to be received, for the reprogramming to take place, you must first translate your logical intention into the native language of your soul, the language of visceral feeling and symbolic image. In order for you to understand how to do this in practice, the invitation is for an emotional translation. Take a logical intention. For example, I want a new job that pays me more. Let's translate. Ask yourself, what feeling would this new job bring me? Maybe the answer is freedom, security, or creativity. This feeling is the first part of the translation. Now, the second part, what is the image that, for me, perfectly symbolizes this feeling? For freedom, perhaps it is the image of a bird flying high above the mountain. For security, perhaps it is the image of an ancient tree. The feeling and the image together are your true statement, the only one your unconscious will truly understand. Think of your unconscious as a wild, powerful, and wise animal that lives in the forest of your soul. You do not convince it to do something through a logical debate or a well-constructed argument. It would only scare it. You communicate with it through your energy, your calm, your respect, importantly, by showing it a clear picture of what you want. You do not try to describe water to a thirsty animal. You take it to the spring and let it feel the coolness and quench its thirst. This is how we communicate with our soul. We now come to the heart of our practice, the ritual that ties together all the theory we have explored. Having understood the resistance of the ego, the portal of twilight, and the language of the unconscious, there is a need for a method, a concrete and practical step-by-step process for putting this wisdom into action in a deliberate and powerful way. What we are going to practice is a modern, psychologically informed version of one of humanity's oldest spiritual practices, dream incubation. Since ancient Greece, humans have gone to sacred places to send a question to their unconscious or the divine before falling asleep, asking for the answer to come in the form of a dream, a vision, or an insight. Jung modernized this practice, understanding it not as an act of supplication, but as an act of direct and respectful dialogue with our own self. And the revelation that makes this ritual so powerful is counterintuitive to our modern mind, which wants to control everything. The goal here is not to force, command, or control the outcome. It is an act of surrender and deep trust. You, the gardener of your psyche, will carefully prepare the soil and plant the seed of your intention. Then will trust the wisdom of the dark earth, which is your unconscious, to tend this seed and make it germinate in its own time and in its own way. And here is the ritual. After you have performed your digital sunset and are already in bed to sleep, follow these 4 alchemical steps. First, tune in. Begin to tune into the frequency of your soul. Do the gateway breathing that we learned. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale. Repeat a few times until you feel your mind calm down and your body relax deeply, entering the alpha state and approaching the theta portal. Second, feel. Now bring to your mind not the words of your intention, the image and feeling of it already realized, what we translated in the previous. If your desire is freedom, feel the sensation of expansion in every cell of your body, the sensation of the wind on your face. If it is peace, feel the calm in your nervous. Inhabit this future state as if it were your present reality. Feel gratitude already. Third, ask. With this feeling filling your being, transform your intention into a concise, open, and respectful question yourself. Instead of stating, I want a partner, for example, humbly ask, myself, please show me what I need to heal in myself to attract true love. Or, myself, please reveal to me in my dreams the next step on my creative journey. And fourth, and most important, let go. The moment you ask the question, release it completely. Let go of the image. Let go of the feeling. Let go of them to sleep. Fall asleep with the quiet confidence of a king who has delivered a message to his most loyal messenger, knowing that the work is being done in the darkness, out of your sight and control. Think of this ritual this way. You are the king of your daytime. The world, this ritual is the act of writing your deepest intention on a sacred scroll at the end of the day. Then you hand it over to a silent, shadowy messenger or sleep who will travel through the night to the distant lands of the great oracle. Your deep unconscious. You do not follow the messenger. You do not try to control his path. You simply trust that the message be delivered. After performing your nightly ritual, planting the seed of your intention with faith and surrender, you may wake up the next day with a feeling of uncertainty. The pain that arises here is that of doubt. It is waking up and feeling that nothing changed. It is the frustration of waiting for a miraculous sign, for an instant spectacular change, and being confronted with the apparent silence of the morning, which can lead the skeptical mind to conclude that the ritual did not work. What Jung's psychology teaches us is that silence is rarely empty, and that the main channel of communication of our unconscious is the language of dreams. Your dreams, especially on the night you perform the incubation ritual, are not just random mental garbage. They are often the answer letter of yourself to the question you sent it. They are the Earth's reaction to the seed you planted. And the breaking of expectation that completes our reprogramming cycle is this. The process is not a one-way event of sending information. It is a dialogue. Ignoring your dreams and feelings upon waking is like sending an important letter and never checking your mailbox to see if you've received. The real change, the deepest reprogramming, happens in the conscious interaction between your nightly intention and your humble morning interpretation of the response you've received. To begin capturing these responses, the essential practice to keep an oracle journal by your bedside. And the first thing you do upon waking, before you move your phone, before your daytime ego takes over, is to write down any dream fragments that are on. Don't worry if they don't make sense. Write down the image. Most importantly, ask yourself, what was the central emotion I was feeling in this dream? Often, the feeling of the dream is key to decoding the symbolic message. Consider that your unconscious has responded to you during the night in its native language, the archaic and powerful language of symbolism. Your dreams are that answer, written in a language your rational mind does not understand. Your job in the morning is not to dismiss as meaningless. Your job is to become a humble and curious translator. It is to sit with these symbols and feelings and ask yourself, if this image were a metaphor, what would be its message for my life? We journey together today from the losing battle of the daytime controller who tries to force change by force, to the wisdom of the nighttime dialogue who learns to plant seeds in the fertile soil of his own soul. We have passed through the stronghold of the ego, through the portal of twilight, through the language of symbols, and through the ritual of incubation to arrive, finally, at the harvest of the morning. And the central truth that I hope will illuminate your nights and days is this: the most profound and lasting life change comes not from the strength of your ego, but from the conscious surrender of your ego to the immense wisdom of yourself. And night is not the end of your consciousness. It is your most sacred time of communion with the deepest part of you. For, as Jung taught us, he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens. And the nighttime practice we explore today is the most direct and powerful method of looking within, into the theater of your dreams and the language of your soul, so that you can then awaken to a new external reality, a reality that begins to mirror your new inner harmony. The activation you seek is not a destination to be reached in the distant future. It is a door that opens every, and the key to that door lies in your breath, your intention, and your courage to begin a dialogue with your own depth. The Jung frequency is not in this video. It is within you. The reprogramming, the change, does not begin later. It begins now, in your decision to honor your sleep as your sacred laboratory. May your dreams guide you.